everyone. Welcome to our third episode of Back at the Ranch, Expedition Online's after show. I am your host, Danny Knaub, and joining me today is Bobby, our latest explorer who was voted out just the other day. Bobby, how are you today?
Doing good. Happy to be here. Sad to be off the game, but I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This is an opportunity for you to really explain to our fans and our audience, what was going on inside the game that maybe they haven't seen, and a little bit more about your strategy. So we're actually just going to go way back to the very, very beginning. So describe to me hearing for the first time that you were chosen to be part of the very first season of Expedition Online.
So I was super excited. I missed the email the first day that I got, so I didn't have a ton of time to put my audition video together. I was super busy, so I threw something together real quick. And I was pretty surprised and very pumped to be able to get the opportunity when I said, "Hey, looks like you're going." So I was excited. I was happy. I didn't know what to expect. I knew Andy and some of the guys from watching stuff they've done in the past, so I knew they put together a well organized show. But I definitely did not know the extent of how organized they were, and so I was a little caught off guard by that. But I was excited for the chance to get on there. I was really excited.
Nice. So then here we are on like the first night, and the Boston Rob and the Tyson of like Survivor fame are literally choosing who they want to, participate for their parties. So Boston Rob chooses you. Like, what does that feel like?
It was awesome. So again, not quite knowing what I was getting myself into, expecting, that deal. I knew it was Rob versus Tyson deal, but I logged on and I saw my video, and Boston, like, no one else probably remembers this, but I will never forget it. Boston Rob was like, "That's my guy." During my video, he said that, and then Tyson picked Tom or whoever it was, and the minute he said Tom, Boston was like, Bobby, I want Bobby, and I can't tell you, I was running around the house screaming. I mean, maybe it doesn't mean anything to anybody else, but just the fact that not only did he pick me, but I was his number one pick, and he seemed to be excited to have me. I was ecstatic that happened. It was exciting. Something I won't forget very soon. That's for sure. I ran and told my kids, I was like, Boston Rob just said my name, and they thought I was lying. And it was really, really, really cool.
No, it was so much fun to watch, for sure. I mean, even just as a fan of the show, like I just could imagine how excited you all were, for sure. So obviously at that time when they're choosing their parties, you got to see everyone else's videos and you got to sort of meet the rest of your party. So what were your first thoughts? Like, who were you vibing with? Who were you feeling?
Well, trying to pay attention and everything, I had a little notepad and I was just scribbling stuff down as fast as I could. Their name, their age, where were they at, and then trying to keep straight who was being picked on who. So I had trouble watching the whole video to put a personality together. But once I got my tribe and I knew who on my group of explorers, we got to know each other pretty quick when we started watching. So I didn't get a lot from the videos like I probably should have. I definitely didn't go back and watch them like I maybe could have, but it was happening so fast. It was hard to keep up with it. And then we went right into meeting each other. It was boom, here we are talking to each other. And so it was pretty cool. And that tribe, we vibed really quick. We started getting along very, very quick, and that was pretty cool.
So, okay, so your party gets chosen, and essentially you have like roughly 2 hours to video chat from around like 10 p.m. to midnight. So what was your strategy going into that time period? And, obviously I know I've already spoken to Trey and Teresa, and them leaving the video call pretty early felt like it sealed their fate. But what was your strategy kind of going into that, and what was everybody talking about?
So I didn't have a big strategy. I didn't know how big of a deal it was going to be that I stayed on that late. So I started off by just wanting to not be too gamey and, not show myself as a threat right away. So I was just trying to get to know everybody. I was just trying to keep everything straight. I'm really bad at names, like super bad at names. So like, I'm so happy Discord I could hover over and get their names, because I'm really bad at names. When I meet somebody, I have to say their name 10 times so I remember it. And I was having trouble remembering who everybody was. So that's really what I was focusing on that night, is trying to make relationships, get their names, get points about them, things that I could remember about that person. So tomorrow and the next day when we were talking, I would be able to show them that I was paying attention, and that really build some sort of relationship with them to use in the game later on. And it was 5 minutes to midnight, 5-10 minutes to midnight. There were 7 of us left, and that was really about the only strategy that was talked of. And it was, hey, us 7 are here, those 2 left. They probably had great reasons to leave. I didn't know how important it was to stay on that game. And that's really what solidified those 7 to go forward. And it kind of sealed the fate for Teresa and Taylor, for Trey, for it's not nothing they did, but that last 5 minutes was the biggest decision I made in the game so far. And I didn't even know I was making it at that point. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is so social and people don't realize how important it is to make those connections, to put in the time, to, be there for as long as you can. So, obviously, like you said, that kind of sealed the fates of them. But so going into the very
first. And I think, I think if we would have won and didn't have to go to immunity the next day, go to Crossroads the next day, it wouldn't have been that big a deal. We would have had more time to see each other and build off of them leaving early. I don't know if that solid 7 would have stayed that solid if we didn't lose right away, but we didn't have time. The next day we lost and they left. So it is really, really important. But I think the fact that we lost the next day right away and we had to make a decision, it really made that super important, when it could have been, if we win a couple and we won some and we didn't have to go to Crossroads right away, it might have not have been that big a deal for Teresa and Trey. That's just how it worked out.
For sure. So speaking of, your first challenge is first impressions. So essentially you are all tasked to choose a leader of your party, and then that leader either chose you to do a mental task or a physical task. So were you one that also chose Brandon as a leader?
I did. Brandon came out pretty strong, and I think he's very outgoing, and he doesn't have trouble speaking his mind. He lays it all out there. So I think even if that wasn't his strategy, he kind of laid himself out there as, I'm willing to take the risk as a leader. I think there's some other leaders in the group, but I think that quick, his first impression laid us. So I did pick Brandon, and for that reason.
For sure. And so Brandon chooses you to do planks, which I think, felt like would have been a great fit for you, but then you're sort of plagued by these Wi-Fi issues and we just lost you. So what were you thinking at that time? Were you like, I'm screwed if we lose? Were you like, thank goodness I stayed on till midnight last night? Like what was going through your head?
Yeah. The thing that's really bad is I could hear you guys. Oh, I could hear Andy. So even though you guys lost my video, I could hear him, and I was screaming at the computer like, no, I'm here. Do not stop. Give it a second. It's going to come back on. And then I saw the Discord tell me I was disconnected, and I knew it was done. So I knew it was a big deal, because even though I wasn't the only one that lost that night, there was other reasons. And I don't know if I could have beat her. I felt pretty strong, but the fact that that one was going to stick out in everybody's mind over the fact that someone lost one of the other deals. So I knew that was going to be a big decision point. And that's when I kind of realized, like, man, I am so happy I stuck around till midnight last night, and this is going to keep me going. So I was nervous, and I did get a vote. I got Teresa's vote, so I know my name was thrown around. I'm just happy that we didn't have. I'm just happy I stayed on and I got to stay another day. So.
Yeah. And so what was the decision between Teresa over Trey at that point? Was it just sort of looking ahead to changes, or?
I know we may be considered a boring tribe at times because we got along so well. And Trey fit into that tribe. He really fit in. Everybody liked him. Not to say that we didn't like Teresa, but Trey got on a little bit earlier the night before. He did a little bit better catch up from leaving. And that's kind of what made my decision. And I think everybody was vibing with Trey good enough that we were hoping that we didn't have to make the decision the next night. So it was nothing against Teresa as much as it was, we all like Trey, and I think we just weren't ready to get rid of him yet, and someone had to go, and so we made that decision to Teresa.
Yeah,
and I'm not really sure who was calling the shots. It just kind of everybody just was thinking that, I think, and it all came together pretty well. So I don't remember too many actual discussions besides one with Sam, that we just kind of somehow all got on that same page. So.
Yeah, I mean, there was also not a lot of time because it was the first sort of live Twitch stream, and it was sort of, like the challenge happened. I think you guys had like maybe 20 or so minutes. So again, it speaks really to how important it was to connect and bond that first day. So then going into our second challenge, which is the cans versus planks. You're not on planks this time. It's a random number. You're chosen to do cans, and you were put up against Tearing It Up, who was quite vocal during that challenge and did really well. So just, immediately when you're against her, are you feeling good? Are you feeling confident? You're feeling confident. Then
I'm feeling confident. She blew my mind. I don't know her that well, and it's probably it's something I regret that I don't get to know her better, because she's something else. And when if I had to look at the other tribe and got to pick somebody to go against, it probably would have been her. And not only did she beat me, but she was, I think, the second to the last one on their tribe. I mean, she beat everybody on our tribe except for Jake. And so she impressed me a lot that night. And yeah, I was pretty impressed. She did, and she cracked me up. I mean, she was funny too. So
she's, I know her outside of this, and she's a trip. She's hilarious. So so just for the fans out there, because I was talking to Trey yesterday, like, just give us like a sentence or two of just how actually difficult that challenge is, because I think when you watch it, you think this is super easy to do, but like it's not. So just like just explain it to us.
I had no idea how hard it was going to be, number one. And number two, I lost that planking deal. I was excited. I started I knew it was going to be physical. I can't remember what made us think that. Maybe it was the hint or whatever we got through the day. I was hydrating since like 10 o'clock that morning. I was making sure I ate a protein. Like I was in my head. I was way too in my head. I feel like my adrenaline was rushing, and I'll tell you, it's a lot harder than it looks. And that the next day, and I was telling people, or my brother and some other guys watched it, and they were making fun of me, I guess. And I made them do it, and they I think my brother went 2 minutes and 30 seconds or something. And I mean, it's a lot harder than it looks. It's a lot harder than it looks, and it's a mind deal. I don't have excuses. My stupid earpiece fell out. I guess they were giving me warnings to go higher. Like, I don't even, so here I am. First night, Wi-Fi. Second night, I went out and bought, like, I needed that $1,000 prize, because I went and bought stuff. So I went to Walmart, and it's hard to get webcams and stuff right now. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So I got my whole setup, and I bought the earpiece. Somebody I know that's won a couple of these always wears an earpiece. So no, I was trying really hard, and it fell out. And I guess they were telling me to raise my hands, and I didn't. But if Tearing It Up dropped early, I would have felt bad about that. But with the pain that I was in, I don't know if I could have beat her, even if my earpiece didn't fall out, because she really impressed me. I mean, she went a long time after I dropped. So.
For sure. So unfortunately, your party loses again, and you're heading to Crossroads. This time you have more time, obviously, to talk about it. But it feels like this is when I think there's a clue discovered to a compass, which is, for anyone watching, is sort of our version of the immunity idol. So were you aware of this clue, and how did that form? Did that form any of the decision, or was it pretty easy, like, this is Trey tonight?
I don't think it formed not for me. I knew that was going on. I was bummed out about the challenges 2 nights in a row. That wasn't my focus. I didn't, maybe some of the other people were making a decision based on that. I talked about it because people were talking about it with me, but to me, it was more it didn't matter who had it. I kind of sometimes would push people to say, oh, I think Trey probably got it. He's really smart. I bet he figured it out. And I was trying to use that for my advantage, but I knew whoever found it wasn't going to play it that night, even if it was Trey. I don't think he would have played it that night. My main goal that night was to stay away from Trey. I knew he was the one that was supposed to do it, and I knew that my name was being tossed around. Brandon told me it was. Some other people said that it was being tossed around. I didn't want to number one, I didn't want to lie to Trey to his face if I didn't have to. And number two, I didn't want him to read my face in case he did have the compass and say, man, I can tell Bobby's too confident, or Bobby's feels like this. I wasn't confident, but I didn't want him to read into it. So I only went into rooms with Trey if everybody was there. If I saw Trey drop into another room, I got away from that room. And that was basically my strategy that night. Talk to who I can and try to not let Trey know that he was on the chopping block. So.
For sure. So obviously Trey goes home that night, but whereas earlier in this conversation, you were saying there was a pretty solid 7 because you guys had all stayed, awake until midnight that first night. However, you did get 3 votes. So what were you feeling? Like, were you expecting 3 votes or were you expecting 1? Like, how were you feeling about that?
I was expecting 2. I still don't know where the third one came from. I knew Jake. I knew Trey was going to give me his. Brandon had basically told me he was going to do it. I see where Brandon's playing. I think because I watched last night. I think people are getting a hold of how Brandon's playing. They're getting it now. But Brandon's playing, and anybody that says he's not, they're not watching him. He's playing very hard. And so I knew Brandon was telling me he was going to vote for me. And the reason he was telling me he was going to vote for me is he was covering every base in case it went wrong. He was trying to say, hey, Bobby, I'm voting for you. But I know why he voted for me in case he needed. And it worked, because when Trey got voted out, he said, I know who voted with me. So if he knew Brandon knew he didn't need my loyalty. He thought he already had it. And he needed Trey's in case it went the other way. So I'm not sure who the third vote was. I knew I was getting a couple, and I was happy that I lasted another day.
Yeah, don't quote me on this, but I think it was Jake. I feel like I think Trey was saying yesterday that it was Jake, and that they had basically just told him that they were gonna try to vote.
Yeah, and I think that was I'm not sure how much they trust Jake that night. I trusted Jake that he was sticking with the group, but I think they were a little nervous with it. Like we were talking how this question started. I think they were a little nervous where that compass was, who had it. And so I think they were just covering their bases. They wanted to make sure they had enough votes on me in case that was played that night. So
sure. So then we go into the third challenge, which is the Mind the Gap challenge, which is sort of like a version of Wheel of Fortune, different phrases. They were all explorer themed, and every letter that was R, S, T, L, and E was provided, but you had to fill in the blanks. So really, really close one again. And this time you lost because you misspelled the word world. So
I've spelled it a lot since then. I spelled it a lot. Oh, got my phone. I wake up in WOD. I know how to do it now. So I should have just, again, I said this later on, like anybody that doesn't know me that watched this game probably has no idea how much I hate losing. I hate losing. Like, I can go back into the psychology of things that happened to me in high school that made me hate losing. Like, there was a time in my life that I had to make the decision that when I lost, I could not throw a fit and do the things like I used to do. So I handle losing better than I used to, but I still hate it. And the first night, the second night, and then the third night, it has haunted me since I left. It has literally haunted me. I'll get over it, but yeah, I put the new, and then I saw it. I should have just focused on how she wasn't even close. I should have just calmed down. I was so excited. The R was already one of the ones that were written in on the screen, so I skipped it because I was filling in the blanks, and I skipped it. And then once I put it up there and I noticed and I looked down, my mind was just all jumbled, and I had it. And I knew that was a really fun game. I knew most of those. I really enjoyed that game. And, you know, again, that one could fall back on me, because if we would have got that one vote that I really should have had, we wouldn't have gone to that tiebreaker that I had. That I can't even remember I wasn't even close to getting that one. And I don't know how she couldn't get the new old, but pulled that name out so fast. I mean, it was ridiculous how quick she was on that one. So,
yeah, I mean, I think for anyone watching at home, like it's hard to understand the pressure cooker situation. And I know that it's easy to sort of like laugh at it now and to, you know, watch it play back. But in that moment, you don't know how fast someone else is going, and you're just like trying to write as fast as you can, throw up a phrase. And, you know, I mean, it was, you know, it was fun to watch, but I felt
it was rough.
Bobby,
It was rough. And
no,
I overanalyze stuff too much. I know. I overanalyze, you know, and that's the problem is I've slowly started to get past it. You know, I got on last night and watched a little bit, and I had to shut it off for a couple hours. You know, I was getting ticked off, and
yeah.
I was able to turn it back on after it was over and rewatch some of the stuff that happened last night. And it's fun. I had a blast.
Yeah.
And it just didn't go how I wanted it to go. Losing 3 in a row was rough.
Yeah.
You know, it just was rough.
Yeah. So, you know, feel free to share as much, but, you know, obviously going into that crossroads, I don't know if it was leaning your way. I think that it seemed like Molly had shared with a few people that she was the one that had the compass. That starts forming some opinions and conversation, but then you essentially ask your entire party to join a chat and you sort of share some news.
Yeah. So actually, I would still say the Trey vote, I was less confident in that one. Brandon and Sam and I had a pretty strong Molly vote. I actually was pretty confident that I could have pulled that off, that we could have pulled a Molly vote off, because when I first told Molly that, because I was dealing with some stuff going on, so I wasn't on chat. I had my computer on. I was trying to tune in and also deal with other things I was dealing with, and so I could hear stuff going on. And then I tuned in and I'd kind of already made up my mind what I was going to do. And then I get on there and it's just me and Molly. Molly had went to get something to eat, I guess, or something, and everybody bailed on us. And that's when Molly told me that she had the compass. I believe Sam might have been there, but I think that was the first time. And
Yeah.
Molly didn't tell us until after I told her that I was going to tell the tribe to vote for me. So I had no idea Molly had it. I really thought we had it. I thought I was reading her face, and I thought she had it. So I didn't know votes were coming to me. I knew I would get a few votes. I thought I was going to be used again. I thought Molly was going to go home, but I didn't know she had the compass, and I don't know if she would have played it. And, you know, I don't know how that would have turned out if I didn't tell the tribe that, hey, I'll take one for the team and just get me out, and let's you guys move forward. So.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's the night that you end up going home. So sort of looking back on your time, I mean, obviously, who in your party currently do you think is doing the best job? Like, who are you rooting for? I know you didn't really get a chance to meet the other party. So, you know, in your one, which one are you thinking is doing the best?
So who I'm rooting for and doing the best, maybe two different people. Sam and I clicked pretty quick. I like Sam. I think he's I'm excited to watch Sam and see if he's a little bit trickier than I put him off to be. He seems pretty honest. His vote last night surprised me the way he pulled that off. So I think he's got it in him that he might surprise me. So I'm rooting for him. And I think he's more cutthroat than I might have thought he was at first, but I'm definitely rooting for Sam. Jess is playing a game that I don't know if she could win it, but it's going to take her deep in the game. I think she's, I've seen some of the tribe swap deal. I think she's in a good position. We'll have to see. Have to see. But I'm rooting for Sam, and everybody else in the tribe. I think Brandon's going to go pretty quick. I think he's playing hard. Nothing against Brandon. I think he's got a really good game, but I think the situation of us losing 3 times in a row and him having to show his cards maybe a little earlier than he wanted to, and because of that fact, is probably going to get him out a little earlier than he could have if we would have just won one. That's all we needed. We just needed to get some chaos on the other team, and we just couldn't pull that off.
No. So
and I wanted to do my ping pong deal. I've got ping pong balls sitting here on my truck, and I still haven't got my cups. I still haven't got my cups, but like I watched a little bit of it last night. Like that would have been my game. Of course, everything else could have been my game too. So I don't know what I would have done to mess that one up. I'm sure it would have been something. So I'm sure I could have messed it up. But when I get a chance to go back and watch that last night a little bit closer, I'm gonna go ahead and put used to the ping pong balls, and I'm gonna try it out. So.
For sure, for sure. Well, Bobby, I have to say, you know, being a moderator of this game, honestly, everybody loved you. I mean, you are such an infectious personality. You're just so sweet. You're so down to earth. I think everybody just loved you, and that's why you lasted as long as you did. So, you know, kudos to you. I think you're a great guy. Obviously, I know you, and this has been fun chatting, but do you have any final words, any final thoughts?
No, not really. I told you earlier, like I think in the end I made the right decision. You know, again, I might have been going home anyways. But I was those are a couple of reasons why I did the stuff I did, and I don't regret it. My biggest regret is not maybe sticking it out one more day, because it would have been something to talk to Boston Rob last night. It would have been something. That would have been something. No regrets. I mean, the challenges, they did what they did. You know, it's how the cookie crumbles, and I just got to get over it. And I had a blast, and I don't regret playing. It was a lot of fun.
For sure.
And I know, you know, and I know when this is all done, I'm going to get some pretty good Facebook friends, and we'll be able to keep in contact. And it's fun to have. We said this in the deal, and I know Andy and everybody said it. You know, Survivor's a family. There's a group of people. Survivor's a family that spread throughout a different. You know, we have different views on maybe everything except for Survivor, and some different views on Survivor too. But it's a bond that we all share. It's hard to share with, you know, other people in your life, your spouse and your friends and your stuff. They get tired of hearing about Survivor, so it's nice to have a group of people that will never get tired of hearing you talk about Survivor. So
Sure.
I had a blast, and I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, Bobby, welcome to the family. We're very excited to have
you.
The fun side of things where we all hang out and have a good time. But, you know, you played a really great game, and thank you so much for joining me today and kind of giving us a little bit of insight for everyone. But we still have a lot of game to play. So looking forward to seeing how everything unfolds, and I will see everybody next time. So Bobby, thanks again, and have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. We'll see ya.
Bye.